Hello. Hi, good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 7 of Vibe Check by SAWO Labs. It's a video podcast by SAWO Labs where we discuss everything business, tech, and communities. For today's episode, we have someone really special. This next person that we are going to bring to our show as a guest is going to talk about something very interesting. So when I was speaking to the said person, right, he told me how the way we perceive product is very different from how it actually appears in the market, right? And he's a global marketing manager at Affle, so he clearly knows how the product is perceived at various levels. So today going to talk about the three levels of a product, the things that developers or people who are CTOs are usually unaware of or learn very late in life. So to discuss this further, without further ado, I want to call upon Shantanu. Shantanu, if I can have you on stage.
Hey guys, hi Cherish.
Hi Shantanu. Hey, welcome and glad to have you here.
Thanks, glad to be here.
Yeah. Shantanu is the way we spoke, Shantanu, I'm really inspired and really looking forward to this conversation because the way you explained product to me just opened up another dimension altogether. And a lot
Yeah,
of these things are so new for us, right?
yeah. I always felt that when I spoke to you and when I looked at the community, I felt that my experience and my background is kind of very orthogonal to most of the community that's going to be probably listening to this or will listen to this.
Right.
My background is purely a marketing background, so it's going to be I think a good lesson.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be the best of both worlds. And if anybody's kind of building the product, they will kind of need to know what you're just going to tell us. Maybe just tell us what you're going to walk us through and how are you kind of proceeding with the flow.
Sure. I think it'll be interesting to first maybe get a perspective of where I'm coming from. My background all along was I have an engineering background, but my background all along was in demand generation marketing. It's and purely for enterprise SaaS companies, right? I that's been my background all along, and I was always that demand gen marketer, that digital marketer, the typical leads and volume and pipelines and all of that, and gradually, while all of that was very tactical, the next shift that I really wanted to make was move into product marketing specifically, and take a shift back from that tactical everyday firefighting, and get more into thinking about a marketing strategy or product strategy. How should people really think about the product? How should they think about building stories around their product? And just that shift in my mind really got me thinking that there might just be a lot of people, especially founders, early stage founders, who might be lacking this this information. So I had a lot of discussions with people on the side. I consult a few startups really about how to go about their product marketing, and I realized that this is completely missing. What people or what founders usually think about when they think about their product is the hard tangible thing, right? The hard tangible product. While that's enough, that's good enough to begin with. It's really, there has to be some point where you start thinking about why the consumer is buying your product, right? They are obviously going to satisfy whatever need you're solving or whatever problem you're solving, but there could be some other psychological reason attached to it as well. So really, that was the whole pretext that I really wanted to discuss today, and put forward for you guys.
Awesome. Yeah, I think, beautifully explained that. A lot of technical co-founders or a lot of product managers who kind of come with the entire, create an MVP and that's my product. That's basically what they think when they talk about product. But yeah, your perspectives can definitely going to help a lot of people here, especially our community, because a lot of them are like early stage product builders or potentially co-founders for tomorrow. So Shantanu, maybe you can give us start with an example of what are these three levels that we speak of? How do we see it versus how it is?
Sure. I think a good way to really, and first off, really just let's just understand that this is not it's not really a very novel idea, or it's not very a new idea that's come about. Most people who probably are or come from the business side are very well aware of this. But most people who kind of come from the technical side or from the engineering side have a lot of trouble understanding this, or don't really skip this. I would say they don't have a trouble understanding this. They do understand it, like you said, later on, but they kind of skip this in the beginning, because what I've realized, frankly, is when you're an engineer, when you have that skill to really build something, your first reaction is let's get to building. I got an idea, I'll get to building and build this thing, then I'll go out in the market and start testing it out, right? While it's good, it's fast, there's some risk attached to it, right? You might go into the market, some people might give you probably good feedback, and you might invest more into building that product. But then when you start to scale that product, you realize that no one is really looking for it, no one has the need for it, right? So what I've kind of realized is a good way to look at a product or think about a product is in three sort of concentric circles, right? A circle within a circle within a circle, right? And let's talk about the middle circle first, the second circle really. And the second circle, let's call that your actual product, right? That's sort of your actual product. That's what you're building. That's the tangible thing. For example, if you take the most common example of an iPhone, right? That's the phone,
Right.
the actual product. That's the phone. That's the camera. That's the great Retina display, or that's the great M1 chip of a MacBook. All of that. That's the product, the actual product, right? The outermost layer is sort of, let's consider it, let's call it the augmented product, right? Augmented product is everything, all of those frills that you kind of get with a product that just sweeten the deal, right? You start liking that product even more, and it just, for example, for an Apple product, again, since we're considering that example, it might be Apple Care, right? Where Apple, you damage a product, Apple asks you no questions, they repair the product and they give it back to you. Most people are very happy, right? When, let's say, right now, when there is more competition with the iPhone, there's a OnePlus, Samsung is launching, let's say, products or phones of similar capabilities. This sort of differentiates Apple there. Some people, especially more advanced buyers, let's say someone in the United States, they buy Apple because they like the Apple Care feature a lot, right? They could have bought a OnePlus, they could have bought a Galaxy, but they buy Apple because there's Apple Care. The product can be repaired if they damage it. So augmented products sort of helps you, I would say, differentiate your product in a very crowded market, right? For example, for an airline, it's all the frill that comes with first class, right? An airline is an airline, right? A Go Air is the same as Vistara. It's taking you from one place to the other. That's the actual product. But there's a different feeling you get when you're flying with a Vistara or when you're flying with an Emirates, right? You place it in a different category. There are all those facilities, etc., that you don't get in Go Air. So that's the augmented product. And just the last piece, the central thing, which is the most important thing, and I really wanted to touch upon that in the end, is the core product, right? That's the most important piece of your product. A core product is sort of the psychological reason why people are buying your product, right? Psychological, again, it's the actual product was created and people bought it to solve an issue. The core product is a psychological reason why people are buying your product. So for an iPhone, or for any Apple product for that matter, in many cases it's status, right? You buy an iPhone because it's sort of a status symbol. You buy a OnePlus because you kind of want to be that anti-bourgeoisie, where you're saying that I don't want to be that rich. I don't want to be perceived as that rich spoiled person. I am someone who's a technocrat, so I use a OnePlus. It's value for money. It's the best of all the products, etc., etc. Right? So there's different. It's the same actual product. It's the same phone, but there's a different sort of a psychological reason attached to it when you buy it.
Fair enough.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, yeah, it makes sense. I think like the minute you explained it in concentric circle form, I couldn't help but picture Simon Sinek's theory of why, how, and what. Is it somehow related to that? Like, why is the core product and the layers are augmented, versions of how and what?
Sort of. I mean, the why is definitely related. The core product is the why people exactly buy your product. And if if you think about it, interestingly, if you kind of just extend this, where it gets really interesting is, let's say you're looking for a status symbol. So then a competition for an iPhone is not really going to be let's say a OnePlus or a Samsung. It's probably going to be a Gucci bag, right? It's satisfying the same need. A Gucci bag is satisfying the need for status, and an iPhone is satisfying the need for status, or a Ferrari probably is satisfying the need for a status. So when people, and this is again another pitfall, that when people, when founders, early stage founders, are kind of thinking about their competition, they usually have a very narrow view. They usually think of what is the exact replacement of my product, right? They don't go a little broader and kind of think that what is that broader competition. For example, I'll just maybe quote, there's this the founder of Netflix, right? Reed Hastings. So Reed Hastings has this famous quote. I think he gave it to Fast Company in 2018 or 2019, where he said the competition of Netflix is not the other OTT platforms, rather it's sleep.
It's what,
When
sorry?
you're It's sleep.
Sleep.
Yeah, that's the competition, right? That's the core need. When you stop watching Netflix, you don't jump onto the other OTT platform. You just go to sleep, and Netflix doesn't want you to sleep. And it's evident in all of their product. It's clear in all of their product, right? There is for example, when you end a show, the next show starts streaming at the right bottom. So
Right.
it's keeping you engaged. It wants you to watch more. So they're competing with sleep, really.
Oh, fair enough. That's man. That that's a very interesting, perspective there. It's I don't think like a lot of us kind of actually think that from, of course, from a core perspective, from core product perspective, you would think who's your competitor. But if you're fighting for the same share, like if you're fighting sleep, then theoretically any product in any domain becomes a competitor, right?
Exactly.
That's fantastic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
great. Go ahead. Sorry.
let's say, yeah, I was just saying that again. Another small example could be Coke, for example, right? When you think of
Right.
Coke, and I ask you what's the competition of Coke, you would probably say Pepsi, right? That's
Right.
the competition. It's a
Uh,
good way to look at the
right now, I
competition.
would say Cristiano Ronaldo. Sorry. Go.
Yeah, that too. So yeah, I mean, let's say Pepsi is a competition, but then when you start thinking about the core need, why does someone drink Coke? It could be a lot of core reasons. Maybe they're looking for a caffeine hit, or maybe
True.
they are looking to really cool themselves down. Then the competition is a lot. If it's a
Hmm.
caffeine hit, then it could be an espresso shot, or if it's someone who's looking to cool themselves down, it could be the competition could be anything. Maybe an ice bath is the
Hmm.
competition of a bottle of Coke, right?
Yeah.
So you have to start thinking about the core need really to a lot, because every great product does think about the core need. It helps you market your product better. It helps you build a story around your product better, and it's just really helpful when you're going to market.
Fair enough. Very well put. I think the weaving a story behind your product is so important. We recently did this program called Pitch Up, where we invited a lot of young professionals and CEOs, or just product managers who are looking to validate their idea and kind of get a practice pitch in front of investors. Now, investors would look at the product from the way that you spoke, right? Like looking at it from all angles. So if you might think your competitor analysis is based on your core product, but if you're fighting for the same share of human need or human psychology that another product is fighting, whether that may be another domain, you're still going to lose, right? Like fighting, you could build a completely different product but fight for the same mind share. And I think that kind of that helps you build a better story, like you said, and kind of helps you compete also. And different opportunities open up altogether. Do you have any other examples, like in a B2B format, like especially with SAWO being a B2B2C company where we're making dev tools altogether?
I was actually, I mean, let's maybe take a bunch of examples actually, if we can. So
Mhm.
let's maybe start with Affle, right? That's where I
Right.
work. Affle is a mobile marketing ecosystem, uh, really an ad tech ecosystem where any company, any B2C organization that wants to acquire new users, then Affle kind of runs your ads on its ad networks. That's their play, right? Now, Facebook does that too. Google does that too. There are a bunch of other companies like that do that too, right? Uh, Affle really plays on the core need of value when they want to communicate to, and when they kind of build their story out, their story is of value, their story is of sustainability. It's evident in how they're building their business, it's evident on in how they're pricing their services, it's evident everywhere. That's their core product. So what they found out was, let's say there's a bunch of there are a bunch of people, a bunch of companies that are able to run your ads for you. But is there any company that's providing the customers, or the person who's spending the money, real value for their money, or who's coming up front and saying that, I'll not take your money from you unless I provide you the value you need, right? So what Apple came up with is that most companies, if someone's familiar with marketing, most companies charge you on the or advertising, most companies charge you on the basis of impressions. Really, how many impressions are they delivering for you? The CPM, or the cost per mille model. Then there's Affle, which charges you on the basis of how many conversions you're driving. So it's a CPC based model. It's a cost per conversion model. So a Facebook or a Google would probably say that, I'll deliver 1,000 impressions for you. I'll show your ads to 1,000 people. Uh, it depends on your ad whether 100 convert, or 10 convert, or 200 convert. That's not my responsibility. I want my money because I've shown those 1,000 impressions. And then there is Affle, which says that I'm only going to take money from you if your ad converts. So pay me, let's say, this percentage if you just got 10 conversions, pay me this percentage if you got 100 conversions, and pay me this percentage if you got 200 conversions, right? So that's how they kind of, in their actual product, they're promoting that core need of value, right? In how they're pricing their services and etc., right? So the actual product, like we talked about already, is the ad network. And the augmented products, so Affle has a bunch of companies now. It has a bunch of businesses. There's a business to develop your apps, because what we found out was most of the people who were using our services were app developers, right, who wanted to drive more installs or more traction on their app. So then they started providing services to build out your own app, or build out your app for you. So it's a whole ecosystem now, where if you are a founder, for example, and you have an idea, you see a need in the market, you come to us, we build out your app, we market your app, we get you your users. It's everything, right? So with that, they have kind of come up with that augmented product on top of their actual product, on top of the core product, which was value.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think a lot of digital marketing spaces that I've seen, they only charge on CPM or a CPC model, right? Very few
Correct.
people actually go on actually and commit a CPC, sorry, cost per conversion kind of a cost per acquisition or conversion kind of model.
Yeah,
I
because you
think,
have to. Yeah,
go on.
just maybe. I'm sorry to interrupt you there, but you have to kind of think that it's a lot of risk on the business as well,
Exactly.
right? Business is taking a lot of risk, but that's the idea that they are promoting in the market, that we'll take the risk for you just to
Yeah.
create that value for you, right?
I
And that's how they're promoting that core idea.
That's, and that's so fundamental to business altogether, because if you actually are striking a dealership with anybody in the world, you go with you go your basic push pitch should be फायदा हुआ तो दोनों का नुकसान हुआ तो मेरा. There is no way you will not get that partnership, right? Because you're taking away
Yeah.
all that risk away from them. And I think that level of confidence that the company has to provide to their customers, that I will only charge you if I get a conversion, that must be built over the years. And I think that's some solid backing, right? Because if you're taking up that much of a risk, obviously you've done your homework research and you're confident of your deliverables. Yeah, that's a great example, Shantanu. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say that, while it may sound like that, now it's possible for, let's say, an Apple or any company, an iPhone, now to say that, in retrospect, that this is our core need, and this is our actual product, and this is our augmented product. But I would sort of say that, start thinking about your core product from the very beginning. uh, First, think about the core product, then depending
Right.
on the skills that you have, you go ahead and build something. If, let's say, your core product, again, as we talked about, is status, and if you're someone who likes developing social platforms, then you'll
Yeah.
probably develop a social platform where only the elite could come in and create their profile. If
Fair
you're
enough.
a hardware engineer, then you would probably build a hardware product that only, let's say, the elite could buy. If you're an automobile engineer, you probably would build a car. If you're a let's say an apparel maker, then you would probably build a brand like Superdry or something,
Right.
Louis Vuitton, right? So it
Right.
first thing about all of these products are solving the same need of status, but again, depending on the skill, the founder went ahead to build whatever product that they wanted to build.
Yeah, I like how you phrased it. That based on the skill they went ahead instead of based on the need or the problem that they're solving. Right. I think
Yeah,
people have spent more time on their skills as opposed to the need or the want.
it's not always useful like we where we had started, and I feel, and what I have, it's maybe it's a very anecdotal thing, or it's a very personal opinion, but I've always felt that maybe that's where some engineers get blindsided. Obviously there are great
Exactly.
engineers, they're fantastic engineers, right? But when they think just in terms of engineering, then their first intuition is, as soon as I have an idea, just because they have that power, they start getting to apply that power. Let's start
Mhm.
building immediately. Once I build something, then I'll take it to market and I'll test it, whether there's a need or not, which psychological need am I going to solve. All of that thinking happens after, let's say, they have failed a couple of times,
Yeah. True.
uh, which I feel is it may be, I mean, fail fast is kind of the idea, but yeah, it might just be useful if you start thinking about the core need first. You might just build your product in a different way.
Yeah. Of course, like failing has its own merits, but that's not the intention when you start up something, right? And so this is a beautiful segue into my next question. So let's say there are a bunch of co-founders or young CEOs and product managers listening to us, right? How would you tell them in maybe 3, 5 steps how to approach the next product that they're building?
Again, what we just talked about, right? Think about the core need first. What's
Hmm.
the need? Is it a need? What's that psychological need? How, why are people exactly going to buy your product? There's one, see, there are, when we talk about need, again, I would say that there are two types of needs. One is, obviously, there's a problem in the market, and you're going to solve that problem, right? You're going ahead and solving that problem. For example, maybe, I mean, I might just be uh, taking sort of a risk here, but let's talk about SAWO, right? uh, the problem in the market might be that, OTPs, when you get OTPs, and that system sometimes fails. So there's that problem. That's why you're building this authentication system where OTPs are not required. That's the problem you're solving. So you built this product up, right? A psychological need. What could be a psychological need why a developer might want to use SAWO? It might just be fear, right? That when people start logging into my app and they don't get their OTPs, they might drop off. I spent so much
Exactly.
money, I took so much time to get them to this point, and now they're dropping off. So the psychological need of a developer is probably fear,
Yeah.
or a product manager is fear that you're solving, that I might just lose my user when I've gotten them to this point. So think about both of these when you're thinking about the need. Obviously, the exact problem that you're solving, but also the psychological need that's there in the person. That will help you shape your product in a different way, build very specific features that solve that psychological need, build your marketing out in a different way for product marketing people, build your marketing out in a different way. Once you have identified that, and once you, let's say, go ahead and build your actual product, then once you've stepped into the market, you've kind of seen some success, then it's the time is kind of right to build out the augmented layer, which in case of SAWO might be this community, right? When you start using SAWO, or there might be some other services that you guys are offering, and it's this package that you guys are now creating, right? So I would say that, first off, for anyone who's starting anything, probably the best place to start is look at the market, look at why the alternatives suck. Once you find that out, then you've kind of identified a core need. Then you've identified the problem also. You've identified the psychological need also. Then you go ahead and build your actual product. You choose the name of the product based on all of that. You choose what features you're going to build. You choose which features you're going to build first, and then you go ahead to actually just create that product.
Fair enough. That's well put and well rounded also. That's great. Just want to take some time and let everybody know in case they have any questions, just write them in the comments. We'll bring them up on the chat and We'll have Shantanu and everybody answer that. You can see the ticker going down below. So Shantanu, I want to come back to what you just said, right? Like SAWO is a developer-focused company, which means that we make developer tools. And you're right about that. Developers will have that fear of people dropping off their app, but not just fear. I think there's a huge tangible problem that developers realize after they build the product, that only 70% of OTPs are successful, which means 30% of the people who were supposed to acquired by your app never happened because of the OTP failure. The second, so clearly there's a huge, user acquisition problem there that people realize post building a product without auth or just like a really substandard auth service. You can obviously see the business impact of 30% users not landing on a platform, right? And 30% failed entire journey. So another thing that I want to let product managers know, that if you create an auth service, you are paying anywhere between 18 paisa to like 1 rupee per user. And if you use an API like SAWO, which is a passwordless OTP, you can come down anywhere to 5 paisa or something like that, right? Depending upon your usage. So you're clearly saving rupees and literally like actual dollar value there. So another thing, I think what obviously there's a need of fear, like you mentioned, but the what we're kind of establishing here is that every product manager is, I think every co-founder or a product manager has an ideal way of looking at their product, right? Like if my product reaches at this stage, I'm very happy where it's reached. And for us, I want every product manager or every CEO who's integrating SAWO to kind of build a product where it's just like a seamless experience for the user. So if you believe in seamless experiences for your user, you might as well create a seamless login experience. And I want to touch back to what you said. Is it always fear driven, or is it always sometimes motivation driven? I mean, like, is it always like a void of something, or is it all could also be the chase of something?
I mean, again, let's say, for example, again, let's go back to the iPhone example, right? You have other phones available. You are not buying an
Yeah,
iPhone because of a fear of something. You're buying an
right.
iPhone because you have that aspiration that I want an Apple product. Everyone knows that in some point in their life, they're going to spend that money into buying a MacBook Pro, the most expensive MacBook Pro that's there. They're probably going to install an iMac screen in their home, the most expensive screen that's there, even though it's a lot of money. But everyone wants to do that at some point in their lives, right? So that's usually for luxury products. I would say it's more of an aspirational play. We
Right.
might be driving a Maruti today, but tomorrow everyone wants to buy a Lamborghini, right? It's
Fair
it's
enough.
more of an aspirational play there.
Okay. So you're saying that aspirational plays kind of drive the entire core of the product, at least in case of Apple, as or luxury.
Yeah, I
Go
mean,
ahead.
we could even consider one example. I mean, just on the fly, I just remembered. So there's this video that's floating around by An Academy. I'm not sure if you had a chance to see that. They've launched this new ad which with this music in the background of Believer by Imagine Dragons. They've created a fantastic ad, like one of the best I've seen in a long time, right? And again, An Academy has always played on this kind of this aspiration of people to do well in their lives, students to really do well in their lives, become crack UPSC and become these IS officers, or crack JE and go to an IIT, or crack NEET and go to a great medical college. And their core product, I have kind of always felt, is the aspiration bit,
Mm-hmm.
where, for example, they recently did probably a course with Sachin Tendulkar, where the it was a course on resilience, right? And again, it's that aspirational thing that they're constantly driving, where they're saying that our core idea is that everyone should achieve more than, or become more than they are in their lives. And that's it's very evident from their ad, actually. I mean, hats off to their marketing team, but you should look at that ad. Everyone should look at that ad. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. True. What
So yeah,
about
maybe
these
luxury and
ads?
education could be.
True.
Yeah, please go ahead.
I think just like one question here, and say I think maybe it doesn't relate to the topic, but so the Rahul Dravid ad that got really famous by Cred. Can you maybe dissect that a little more and tell us how that's tied to the product?
I mean, I again might not be the best person to comment on that. But what I really felt personally was, it was more of a hook play, right? Everyone, they just wanted a hook. They wanted to create some sort of a brand recall. That okay, who did this ad? Rahul. Who did the Rahul Dravid ad? Was Cred. Uh, Frankly, I didn't get any sense of the product there. Like
Right.
the the for example, the flow that we are talking about, I didn't get any sense of that in that ad per se. I might be completely wrong here, but again, a personal opinion is that that ad really did not explain what Cred helps me do, or what is the core need that Cred solves for me.
Right.
Does it make me does it give me better reward points for my for paying my credit card bills on time, or does it value me being a responsible citizen and paying my debt off on in time? I didn't see that from that ad at all.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, I don't think like any of the ads that they've done, especially with celebrity, the entire series, anything kind of gave insight about what the product altogether is. So maybe they're
Not
not
even the
even like
need.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
not
don't
even the
think like they're
need
even
really.
considering that, right? Even the need, exactly. I don't think they're
It was
even going at educating the people about the need. They're just entertaining people and creating a brand recall, like you said.
correct. Correct. Maybe that's the play, but it might just be good to really, for them to play on this idea that, for example, I feel that, or everyone who's paying taxes always feels that, why am I paying taxes?
Yeah,
There's nothing happening. Why should I? There's nothing happening. Everything is damaged, and all of this is there. I'm paying my credit card bills on time. What am I getting? The points that I'm getting, everything that I'm getting sucks. I never use them. So what
yeah,
do I do with all this? What is the benefit of me being a responsible person in life or in the
yeah.
society? So maybe they should play on that need. I mean, that's what I would say.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's an interesting perspective. Especially as you grow older and you start paying more taxes, that just hurts more and more.
Yeah, I mean that's
Fair
when you
enough.
kind of realize that what is happening here. Why were dads always frustrated?
Yeah, you become your dad. That's great. Okay, we have one question in the comments if we can bring that up. So SAO has a community, and I think Siddharth is kind of referring to the fact that how can communities help build a product? And when we say product here, I'm sure like he refers to all three layers that you mentioned.
Yeah, I mean,
Any thoughts?
probably, I guess, yeah, you might be a better person to answer this question. But what I have always felt is, at least the community-based approach is, so everyone has that had some bits and pieces of that, right? For example, if we consider B2B companies, right?
Yeah,
Every B2B companies uploads testimonials. Every B2B companies uploads case studies. Everyone in some way has been trying to make the customer the hero, sort of the hero, and really promote their product little by little, and they've been doing bits of that. I feel when you go out and build the community consciously and aggressively from the very beginning, then you're focusing or investing more on that idea. When then you're going ahead and saying that, instead of me spending a bunch of money on advertising where it's damn costly, it always fails. Let me build a group of people who are kind of, who I would support, who I would provide education to, who I would help network, who would also go ahead and use my product. And then these people would just become my evangelists. These people would go ahead and talk more about my product. They would invite their friends to go ahead and use my product. They would probably invite their friends to join my community, and then end up using the product. So I feel that's probably what's happening with communities, and that's why community, it's just that everyone is fed up with investing millions of dollars in advertising, where it just fails. It always fails, and it's
yes,
it's damn costly.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and coming that from you, there's a lot coming from the horse's mouth. There's a lot of truth to that. So I understand what you're saying. I want to take a stab at this question and kind of touch base on what you said and how you define products, right? So when you say you are solving for a need, anytime you have a need, you want to find people with similar need. That kind of validates. Like as a human, you look for validation, acknowledgement, and acceptance, right? So your first step starts with validating the need that you're feeling. Like if I'm feeling the need of something, I want to find people who feel the same need, and hence I can bond with them. So communities, what they do is they bring in these people who have the similar need, and then they build products for them. So that way, not only you have found people like you, but there are people like yourself who are in the same group helping a company build a product for them altogether. So that's one way, and the second way, I think this ties back to from a very co-founder level that you spoke about the augmented product, right? Like Apple Care being like an extra layer of why people would subscribe to Apple or like buy an Apple because they feel sense of ownership in the company that the company owes them something. Like if they purchase something, they'll take care of them. Their product will be taken care of. It's a similar kind of community like thing with communities also that if you've built something with a community and if you're a founder who's investing in your community manager or your community team will always ensure that your customers are facing absolutely flawless experience. They're facing no challenges whatsoever. They believe in the product that you've built, and they also are influencing their leadership to subscribe to that product, so it becomes easier for you to kind of have a community first approach and then bring in the sales because your end users of your customer have already subscribed to your product or accustomed to their product. They know that their feedback will be taken seriously and the product will be built according to their needs and success. So that's way I think that kind of touches base on the product layer that you just
Interesting.
spoke
Yeah.
of. I never really actually praised it in that sense, but now that I think of it, it does, and it's great. Like I think you opened up a lot of perspectives for us. This is great, Shantanu. I'm really happy for this. In case you have any final words for us or anything like that, you want to tell to us, community or anybody who's watching this.
I mean, again, think about the need, think a lot about the need. And by need, again, I don't mean the problem, I mean the psychological need. Obviously, everyone in the world is thinking about the problem. If you're building a product, you're probably thinking about the problem. You face that problem on your own. That's why you're going ahead and solving it. But also think about the psychological need. Uh, it will help you define how you build your product, and it will also help you define how you build your marketing around that product.
Fair enough. That's
Yeah.
that's good. That's well put. That's great, Shantanu. I'm so glad for these insights and thank you for taking out the time. I know you're a busy guy, and I hope that you can come and enlighten us once again sometime soon.
Thanks. Definitely, Sherish. Thank you so much.
Awesome, Jonathan. Thanks for having us. Guys, if you're listening to us, thanks for joining. Our Discord link will be in the comment section and in the ticker in case you have any questions for us or Shantanu. Shantanu, where can they reach you? Obviously put these questions in our Discord and relay them to you. But in case you want to give out your contact details, socials, Twitter, LinkedIn, anything like that.
I mean, what I could do probably is I could join the Discord community, and that might just be easier. Yeah.
Yeah, that is easier. That's what our
Yeah.
our guests do. Guys, in case you have any questions related to this, the recording will be available forever. You can go watch it. Thanks Shantanu on your Discord group that he's there. Thanks Shantanu for making everybody's lives easier. And glad to have you here. Thanks everybody for joining. I'll see you again next time, next Friday, 7 p.m. for another episode of Vibe Check by SAWO Labs. Thanks again. Thanks Shantanu.